Hey everybody, welcome back. This week we are going to look at the two Ibis series AC frames, the Ephemera and the HAL 826. This comes per the request of Crematory, who said, "HAL, next when?" Next week. Nah, I'm kidding. We're gonna do it right now. I'll go ahead and start with the HAL since it is the piloted frame and you wanted it so badly. The HAL 826 was developed long ago by the Rubicon Research Institute, the last of the Ibis series, and the only piloted craft. It was built to be the final safety value to prevent a coral collapse. The HAL 826 head has pretty high scoring stats all around with 930 AP, 169 kinetic defense, 182 energy defense, and 180 explosive defense. The attitude stability is up there with 470, and the system recovers fairly quick with 125. Its scan distance and effect duration are nice with 600 distance and a 16.8 second duration, but the cooldown is also long at 11.4 seconds. And of course this all comes at the cost of a fairly high weight of 3,760 Miyazakis. There, I'll use it. And it's a thirsty part at 215 energy load. The core is pretty similar with a glaring elephant in the room that we'll get to, but it has 3,670 AP, 451 kinetic defense, 469 energy defense, and 463 explosive defense. The damn elephant's name is attitude stability at 385 measly points, but it makes sense when the core is an umbrella top that weighs 1,000,000 pounds. The booster efficiency adjuster leaves a bit to be desired, with only 96, but the generator output and supply adjusters are pretty great at 120 output and 108 supply. Again, it's a bit heavy at 18,520 Miyazakis. Yeah, it's funnier that way anyway. And an energy load of 366. Kind of a heavier middleweight like part if you had to place it somewhere. The arms are a bit everywhere, so let's just dive right on into it. The AP is a decent 2,210. The kinetic defense is a little oof at a mere 225. The energy defense is on par with the rest of the frame, though at 248. And the explosive defense is in between both of those at 236. The arm's load limit is only 14,000, but that's still a pretty good amount of arsenal in your arms. The recoil control is pretty mid at 125, but has a pretty decent score for firearm specialization at 123. And the melee specialization is also pretty mid at 114. Surprisingly, the weight isn't too bad at 14,160 Miyazakis, and it has a very middle of the ground energy load of 300. The legs are pretty mid on average, having 4,120 AP, 359 kinetic defense, 380 energy defense, and 351 explosive defense. Side note, for a pair of bipedal legs that aren't giant heavyweights, these stats are deceptively better than they look. The attitude stability of 906 is up there in the top 5 for bipeds, but everyone ahead of it is a pretty heavy leg part. The load limit is pretty similar with a 64,900 Miyazakis. Of course, like most other biped parts, it has a hard time jumping at 115 distance and 31 height. These legs are pretty lightweight at only 20,590 Miyazakis and efficient at 385 energy load. Altogether, the HAL 826 has 10,930 AP, not too shabby for a top-heavy biped. The defenses are just behind the Mind Alpha with 1,204 kinetic defense, 1,279 energy defense, and 1,230 explosive defense. It has an attitude stability of 1,761 somehow, even though it has lead in the head and core, and the attitude recovery is 117. Target tracking overall is 94, scoring right alongside most ACs, and with starter internals it has a 318 boost speed, 317 quick boost, and the supply efficiency of 7,858, weighing in at 61,830 Miyazakis. With the right colors and dual split missile launchers and a couple of rifles, this makes it great Anatolia's Mercenaries version of White Glint, and the legs work pretty well for many other legacy builds like Evangel's Oracle. The other Ibis series frame available to us is the the Ephemera, but for real, it's basically the Fembot of the game. The Ephemera unpiloted AC was developed long ago by the Rubicon Research Institute. An old development quirk allows for piloted operation, but the core box makes only perfunctory concessions for human occupant. This thing was designed more for a coral pilot after all. The Ephemera head has a little more AP with 990 AP. The kinetic defense is lacking at 160, but the energy defense is king at 189, and a high explosive defense at 186. The attitude stability is still pretty good at 480, and system recovery is good too at 132. It's got just a little less scan distance at 550, but a super short duration of 4.8 seconds, with a 6-second cooldown. It's another heavy head at 4,330 Miyazakis, and a 233 energy load ain't that great either. The core's defenses and AP are very low with 2,710 AP, 3,350 kinetic defense, 382 energy defense, and 350 explosive defense. The attitude stability reminds me that my girlfriend's sense of balance is fine, it's just her chest makes her fall forward, at 353 attitude stability. The booster efficiency adjuster is a slight improvement to the HALs at 101, but is still not that great. It has the best generator output adjuster of all cores at 126, with a supply adjuster of 96. Core is not too heavy at 13,200 Miyazakis, and it's very thirsty with 412 energy load. The arms are more like the head with 2,380 AP, 219 kinetic defense, 263 energy defense, and 256 explosive defense. The arm's load limit is even lower than the HALs at 12,680 Miyazakis, and the recoil control, firearm spec, and the melee spec are all unremarkable at 108 recoil, 104 firearm, and 106 melee. Like the Basho arms, the weight to AP ratio is pretty great with only 12,700 Miyazakis of weight, and the energy load is 312. And we have another set of bird-like legs according to the stats with only 3,800 AP, 297 kinetic defense, 352 energy defense, and 352 explosive defense. The attitude stability is only 805, and the load limit is a bit less at only 55,050 Miyazakis. They can long jump a bit more than the HALs with 144 jump distance, but the height is pretty much the same at 30. Like the HAL legs, these are pretty light with only 15,200 Miyazakis and 398 energy load. Altogether, the Ephemera frame with basic starter internals has 9,880 AP, 1,011 kinetic defense, that's a little weak against bullets, 1,186 energy defense, and 1,144 explosive defense. She has a little less attitude stability than HAL at 1638, with a bit better recovery at 134. Her target tracking is a 90, which kinda bothers me, because from what I understand, girls usually shoot better than guys. Usually. I sure as hell couldn't beat my ex. Well, she was also a tournament skeet shooter, so that's not really saying much. I wasn't a tournament anything. The boost speed is 332 and quick boost is 335. The energy supply efficiency is 8,137, which is oh so nice, and it all weighs 50,230 Miyazakis. The Ephemera frame kind of screams play me up close, so slap an Oculus in her and get some guns that like to be used up close at a fairly high speed. Maybe try a vertical kite like in and out build type thing. Get up close then fly away with the grid walkers. This frame is used only by air in the arena and one other time if you know how to find it. I hope you all enjoyed. If so, feel free to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Next week we will be getting into the Schneider Lammergeier frame, and after that we'll be doing the Melander frames. That one should be quite the doozy. See you in the nest.